Welcome to Let's Talk Show, a platform where we give you a chance to share your story with us so that you can encourage somebody out here not to give up in life. With me today, I have a woman who is a mother and a servant of God. She's going to share her story with us and how she has been coping with life since she knew she was HIV positive. Welcome, madam.
Thank you.
Can you tell us, unaweza tuelezea ulizaliwa wapi, ulimelelewa wapi, umesomea wapi?
My name is Wangari Ashango. I'm a mom of 4 and I'm a grandmother of 4 and I'm a pastor. I'm also HIV positive and I've been living positively for the past 24 years. I was born in Kikuyu, but I grew up in Nairobi because we left Ushago. Like I was around 2. So me, I am called Nairobi breed. I'm a Nairobian.
Okay.
But Ushago kwetu sasa ni Gatundu. Hapa Mangu.
Okay.
It's not far. I went to Irish Primary School and from there I went to St. Teresa's Girls Secondary. And then I started working. I worked for Intercont Hotel for like a year. And then I joined GTZ, German Agency for Technical Technical Operations. I don't know whether they still do it, but it was supposed to be, it used to work hand in hand with the Kenyan government. With the ministries, they do projects with the ministries, that kind of thing.
That was after high school.
Yeah, that was after high school.
Yes.
And then after that, after I left GTZ, for a long time I didn't have a job. And by then I had already tested positive. I left GTZ in 1995.
You were already positive.
I know. I left GTZ in 1995. I joined Cooperative Bank. I worked in Eldoret, Coop Bank head office in Eldoret for 2 years. And I left Coop Bank in 1997, mid-1997.
Okay.
By the time I came back to Nairobi in January 1998, that is when I realized I was HIV positive. And nobody told me. The doctors didn't tell me, the nurses didn't tell me. I heard them talking. Those days the stigma was very high. So they would discuss you first in the uko kwa lab. Yeah. When they see your results now, they start talking. Sasa huyu nani anaenda kumwambia hata unda December. Sasa tunaanzaje?
Let me cut you short. How was your marriage life?
My marriage life was okay. For a time. Na juu ilikuanga kama we say haiku it didn't last. But we were together for like 10 years.
Okay. You were negative?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I know, I was negative. So I can't say it was him.
Okay.
Yeah. And in 1998, I had a son in March. That was the first time I had doctors talking about me. And I had the baby. And they kept saying, tell her not to asimunyonyeshe, not to breastfeed him. But nobody said anything to me.
Nobody told you were positive?
No, because you see they did the test without my permission. So I had my baby, we went home. I lost him at 9 months.
You lost the baby at 9 months?
Yeah, a year later, in January. January 11th, 1999. By then now I knew I was positive. And I was going into depression. So I started drinking.
The drugs?
No,
drinking.
Alcohol. I became a drunkard, a proper one. I had already been drinking since high school. You know, when you grow up in Isili, some things is not even, you don't even try. The company, you just find yourself in it. So I'd been drinking for a very long time. I'd been smoking for even longer. But by the time 2002, I went to a church and I got prayed for. My sister recommended me to go to a church.
Yeah.
And God works. And I was healed. And I went to Kiambu General Hospital just to make sure I don't go back to the hospital I was before. I went now to another one.
Okay.
They did a test, we paid, me and my friend at that time. And came out negative.
It came out negative.
Yes.
Let me cut you short. How did you contract the virus? Was it from outside, or how did you contract the
I
virus?
believe it was sexual. I wouldn't say it was outside, because as you can hear my habits, I was working for a government organization as a civilian staff.
Yeah.
I had a policeman who was a boyfriend. He had a wife.
You were still married?
No, I had already left the marriage.
Oh.
Yes. He was married. From what I understand, the wife brought it, but I wouldn't know. So I can't even point a finger at her.
Oh, from the boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
So by that time, by the time now we were going now for this other test again, in 2000.
Yeah.
And we tukaishi vizuri, we were negative for like 3 months. Lakini unajua tu, kama wewe ni wa kulewa, utalewa tu. Especially if you're working in a place where everybody else drinks, everybody else ni happy. So as we would go out, we had been warned at that church, we have to separate first of all. That relationship needed to end. And the wife was not to continue taking drugs anymore. She was being bought drugs by her brothers. We didn't listen. So 3 months down the line, we tested positive again.
You tested positive again?
Yes. That was in 2002. And I currently tell people the blessing of God is conditional. Nobody should lie to you. It is not conditional. He healed me. I was given an instruction by the man of God. I did not follow the instruction. And the result is that I became positive again. And this man wouldn't let me go peacefully.
The boyfriend?
Yes. He said, if I cannot have you, nobody else will. So I kind of resorted to praying prayers of blindness. Spiritual blindness. Hata tukipitana wapi asinione. I believe it worked for me. Because even when we met in town, he never used to see me.
Okay.
We would just walk past each other.
By then, how many children did you have?
3.
3?
Yes.
Okay.
We separated with that one. Nikaokoka kama mwaka moja, miaka 2. Mashida zikakuwa mingi sana.
Nikaanguka tena.
Nikaanguka. Mimi waambia watu, you're born again and you backslid. Don't even worry. Me, I made it a fashion.
Unaokoka,
I would get born again in the morning, in the evening, nikisikia makelele nyumbani because I'd gone back home. I go to a bar.
Drinking?
Yes. And I'll drink up to tomorrow morning, maybe 11. And Sunday, I wake up with a conviction I have to go to church. I go to church again, I get born again.
Haukuwa na hiyo guilt?
That is what was pushing me to go and get born again. But now, maintaining this born again is salvation. Hey, in my father's house. Those days he used to tell me, hiyo kuokoka umeokoka utajua kwenye utaokokea. Sasa ukisikia hivyo, hata huwezi omba. Kwanza unaambiwa usiombe hizo maombi, unaomba za makelele. So I decided in my head, sasa kama hii ndio maisha, si nikunywe tu.
Your parents were not born again?
I grew up in a Catholic family.
Okay.
My parents are good people. It's just that we had to collide for some of these things to come into fruition. And we continued like that for quite some time. And in 2004, I got into another relationship. And I had my daughter, my last one.
Your last one?
She's turning 18 in September, November there. And she's HIV negative. And after I had her while I was pregnant with her is when I made a conscious decision to actually work on being born again. It is not easy. It is not easy being a single mom. It's not easy having everybody pointing at you.
Yeah.
You're the reason this and this is happening to you. Mashida zako zote ni wewe umejitakia.
Yeah.
So for quite some time, I collided heads with my parents. I felt they were stigmatizing me. My sisters were not any better.
Let me cut you short. What was their reaction? Your children, your relatives, your sisters, your mother? What was their
when
reaction?
I actually agreed that I am now HIV positive was in 2008. All those other 10 years, me, I never acknowledged I was positive.
You never, were you taking drugs?
No, they were expensive. I bought them for a week earlier on. And that time, shilingi 1000 ilikuwa pesa mingi sana.
Yeah, sure.
Unapewa dawa zinakaa kama githeri. A lot of medicine. And you're supposed to take it all. Then you take it. So you hear I'm drinking.
Yeah.
You get sick now. You have side effect ya kuchanganya dawa na pombe.
Na pombe.
I said, sasa ni shule nitasomesha watoto ama ni madawa nitakuwa nanunua. Kama mimi ni wakukufa wacha nikufe. And I stopped. Because I couldn't afford the drugs. And I thank God for now that we are given ARVs free of charge. I really thank God for that.
Okay.
So in 2008 is when I actually accepted I'm positive, and I went to hospital. But before I went to hospital for ARVs, I traveled home. And my dad saw me, akainamisha kichwa, and he left. He went, akateremka kwetu, si nimekwambia kuna mamilima, akateremka shamba huko chini. My mom was outside in the vegetable garden. She called me, and she looked at me, and at that time I did not understand her pain, but now I understand her pain. She looked at me and said, "How can you do this to us?" And I'm like, "What have I done?"
Have you told them?
No, I had refused to acknowledge it. They suspected, but I never acknowledged that I was positive. So at that time is when they actually now knew. I have kubali meaning I am positive, and we take it from there. So at that time they told me, "You go back to Nairobi." They sent me a text actually, "Go back to Nairobi. We will wait for a report."
Okay.
And I was angry. I was angry at my parents for so long, for like 2 years, 3 years.
You were not talking to them?
I wasn't even going home. I would go see my children in school. I would see my son in his school.
Oh, your children were up country?
Yes, they were staying with them. And I would just go back to Nairobi past our place. I come and I go past our place to school. I pass again past our place. I come back to Thika and go home.
Okay.
I go back to my place. My aunt is the one who took me back home. She had guests, and by then now I was very big. I was not, but at that time when my mom saw me, I was weighing around 45 kilos. I was actually very finished. I wasn't doing well at all, and my hair was falling off. So
you had stopped with the drugs?
I had not started.
You had not started?
Yes, it was 2008. I had just been started on Septrin in December. I reacted to it, so I had to stop it. They said, "Come back on January 18th, we try something else. First of all, you need to get rid of the sulfur in your body." It made my blood clot. And so by the time I was going home, I was not on anything. So when they told me to go back to Nairobi, they would wait for a report. I got so angry. And then you see, now I kind of knew how to be born again. Let me say I kind of knew. And so I just stood there outside our gate and I said, "They are waiting for my death. They will wait. I am not going to die. And I am not coming back here." And I left.
You left?
Nobody called me, and I never called anybody. And my children who would talk, I would go see them at school and they would say, "Mom, why did you say you're dying?" I said, "I'm not dying."
They never knew, or they were too young?
I eventually told them. I told them I'm HIV positive, and I'm not going to die. I will see your children, all of you. And nitaona watoto wenu na nione watoto wa watoto wenu. Me, I am not dying. And my children had believed, and it kept me going. As you can hear, I now have 4 grandchildren from 3 of my children, and I thank God for that.
Okay.
We reconciled with my parents after sometime in 2011 or 2012. My auntie had guests and I had to go and cook, and she insisted I go and cook. She was bringing them to see my father because he's the only son left.
Okay.
And she told people that nobody is cooking for my visitors apart from my mother. And my mom was saying, if you tell her, let her cook, she might infect the food. And my auntie goes, let her do it, tuone. You see now, for me, stigma started from my family. I met my sister once in town in that January. Hapa Nakumatt kabla ichomeke, ile ya Kenyatta Avenue. She saw me coming, she looked at me and crossed the road.
She diverted
to Uchumi House. She crossed and teremka.
Your sister, your blood sister.
She follows me, and I have a daughter named after her. It took me a very long time to forgive my family. It took a lot of spiritual counseling and a lot of professional counseling, which I got from the clinics where I was going. And for that, I'm thankful. For unforgiveness is a burden. It's a very heavy burden.
Yeah.
If you don't forgive, you're the one who hurts. Because they're not affected by your unforgiveness. You're the one who's affected by it.
Let me cut you short. Was the divorce with your husband, was it because of your HIV status?
No. My ex was like we used to say those days, a player. So I left, and then he hit me once. And I decided I couldn't take it.
Okay.
If he's hitting me now and I'm pregnant, what happens after I deliver? So we separated.
But by then you were negative?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And how did you deal with the stigmatization from your family, from your friends, your workmates? How would you...
But in 2008, when now I became so finished, everybody realized that I was positive. And so they started talking. My neighbors wouldn't even let me send their children to the shops to buy me milk or anything. They would say, if you take her money, utapatwa ukimwi. If I had something and the children came to my house, the children would be beaten. So eventually, I just told them, I stood outside my house and I said, yes, I'm HIV positive. And if you know you cannot live with me the way I am, please leave. The plot belongs to my auntie. Hama. Mimi sitoki hapa. You move. Since you seem to have a problem with me, move. But for your information, I cannot give you HIV unless I'm sleeping with you. And you're all women. So nothing is going to happen. That is one of those times when I put salvation over here and I talked the way I wanted. And after that, everybody kept quiet.
Okay.
And after a long time, now they started bringing me their own issues. They have somebody whom maybe I can talk to. Maybe I can convince a husband to take medication. Maybe I can convince a child to take medication. And that's how it became public knowledge.
Okay.
I've also done a few programs. I've been on GBS TV. I've been on Family Radio. I've been on Family TV. I'm on YouTube actually. I did a talk with a lady called Damaris.
Okay.
Dama's Walk the Talk. Yeah. So, and then I'm on Facebook.
Kuna mahali nilikucut short. You were telling me about your second boyfriend.
Oh, after I had the baby.
Yeah, after you separated with the
After
boyfriend.
I separated, and we got sick again. See, sasa now nikashika wokovu. And I told God, if now this is what your servant is saying, please make a way for me to stop seeing him. Even if you have to make him not see me when we meet, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
And that is how we separated.
The second boyfriend?
Yes. And I stayed alone for like 3 years. In 2004, early 2004, I met an ex and I got pregnant for him. And I had
your
my
last
daughter.
baby?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I had my daughter. And I had told him my status and he said he didn't care. And I looked at him and I said, now you want to be with me, then utatoka hapa uende ukaambia watu mimi ndio nimekupea ukimwi. I don't want. And he said, okay, to be honest, I kind of think I am.
Him?
Yes. And so we started a relationship which didn't last long. Because
What happened?
he decided he wanted my friend.
Your friend?
Yes.
It's getting interesting. He wanted your friend?
Yeah.
How did they come to know each other?
We went to visit her with him. And I remember feeling that he likes her and she likes him. But I was expecting and I wasn't paying attention.
Did she know that he was HIV positive? I
don't know. I cannot see. He was supposed to come in and pay dowry in February 2004, 14. You know, I sat in the house the whole day waiting for him.
He never came.
From that time up to today, I've never seen him.
Oh my God.
And I tell God, thank you for the grace he has given me for to forgive. Because if I sit down and I count the things, the kind of pain I've gone through, the tears, I don't think I would forgive. Because I wouldn't forgive me. Wacha sasa watu wa familia, men, I wouldn't forgive them.
You wouldn't forgive them.
But because God has saved me, And I understand that if I don't forgive, it is me who is going to suffer.
Yeah.
I forgive and I let go. I let God deal with it.
So you've never communicated again since
No.
that day? And he ended up with your friend?
I don't know whether they're still together. I know for a time they were together. Yeah.
Wow.
For a time I know they were together. Now, currently, at this time, I cannot tell you whether they're together. Because now after he left for her, si urafiki iliisha,
Yeah.
hiyo story tukamaliza hivyo. And then now I decided, hapa ni mimi na Mungu. That is now when I started going to Bible school in
So ni
2009.
mashida uliona zimekufinyilia kabisa, ukaona tu
Wacha nikae kwa
only-
Mungu. If he's done with me, it's okay, I'm good for it. I'm okay if I have to die. I'll take this medicine. If it works for me, fine. If it doesn't work for me, fine. I am not in any, it's not going to stress me. And I did Bible school for like 2 years. And at the age of 41, I was ordained a pastor for Lintika.
Okay.
I had gone for a training there, and the guest speaker came from me and decided, okay, I don't know whether he decided or that is what God told him, and said, you're a servant of God, you have to serve God. And I had been resisting.
By then ulikuwa ndani ya Christ, ama ulikuwa unaanguka bado?
No, now I had stopped
You
drinking.
had stopped drinking.
I had stopped drinking. I had stopped playing around. Now I was serious about salvation. So I got ordained. But salvation is hard. Salvation is work. Salvation, you will fall like every other second if you're not careful.
Yeah.
You wake up one morning, you don't have food, and you have a child in the house. You wake up one morning, amerudishwa nyumbani, school fees. You wake up one morning, you don't even have money to go to work. Na wewe bado ni pastor. So it reached a point I never even used to acknowledge I'm a pastor. The people who knew I'm a pastor would call me Pastor Jane, and I ignore it. Nilianza kukubali mimi ni pastor sometime last year but one.
Huko umekubali?
I'm anointed, but I don't answer to it. I couldn't see, with all these problems I have,
Your situation.
this, I can't even feed my children properly. I have this issue. I have this, and he still wants me to serve him. How? Me, I'm not a pastor. Another one comes and tells me, you know, you're a prophet of God. I said, yeah, I know, but I don't see why I should serve him. I can tell you things about yourself, but I don't see why I should serve him. I don't see. And my current pastor, Pastor Lee, sat me down. I fellowship at Fortress Assembly in Ruiru. She sat me down. Her and another lady called Pastor Angie. They sat me down and talked to me. And they said, your status is not an issue. It's not an issue to God. God wants to use you the way you are. That was in 2018. It is 2022 now. So it's been a journey. I sit and when I have issues and I tell God, remember what your servant said, you're going to use me this way. You will make provision for my children. You will make provision for my family. Did they lie? Me, I even ask, did your servants lie? If you come into my house when I'm praying, you will run away. Because sometimes I don't even sound like I know what I am saying. But I'm very serious when I'm talking to God. Because if I don't take it out of my heart, itanikula. So instead of keeping quiet, I am born again, I have problems, I cannot even sort issues in my house, I prefer to pray.
Okay.
And I've seen God come through for me.
Did your family members come to accept your status again? Did your parents, your dad, you told me your dad, the moment you went home, he just left. Did he come to accept your status? And
Yes. Now he tells me he's proud of me. He says he's seen my strength. And I forgive them. I also came to realize that no parent wants to hear their child is HIV positive.
Yeah.
It does not matter whether you're positive or negative. Even me, I wouldn't want to hear my daughter or my son is HIV positive. It's not that I'm going to throw them away if they come to me with that information.
Yeah.
But you start wondering, how? Didn't I teach this child the right way? I understand my parents now. I understand where they were coming from. I understand their pain. Or the way they just looked at me and they gave up. I understand.
Okay.
Because at that time, even me personally, I didn't see how I was going to survive. I decided I'm going to survive after they told me to go back to Nairobi. Before that, I wasn't very sure.
You just thought you were going to die.
Everybody kept telling me I'm going to die. They said you weigh for 45 kilos. Your CD4 count is 11. A nurse actually called me the walking dead. A nurse at the clinic where I started told me, wewe ni maiti inatembea. Those are her words. And I asked her, Nancy, you can say that. Si kwa ubaya Jane. Unaona, hizi CD4 yako. For a normal person, they are normally 1500. You are at 11. How are you still walking? And I'm like, God has a purpose for my life. And I'm saying that, but I don't believe it, but I'm saying it.
When did you start taking your ARVs?
2008 January.
Okay.
And I've never stopped. Because I have seen what happens to people when they stop. You will take some don't even recover. I talk a lot to the people at the clinic where I go to. And you will find somebody has been brought in a wheelchair. And you look at this person and you think you know them, but when you see them, you can't imagine it's the same person. What did they do? They got to my size. They became beautiful like me. And they decided they're fine.
They're not going to take the drugs.
Currently, I test HIV negative. I cannot infect anybody. Yes. I can't infect anybody. And I thank God for that. But according to the doctors, if I stop my medication,
It's
going to it multiplies in a week. In a month, you're down. By the time now you're starting to get up again, you're put on second line. I am currently on the first line. So being put on second line, you're put on stronger drugs. And they are bad for your liver. They are bad for your kidneys. And if you have a person who doesn't know how to drink water, tena sasa wanaanza issues za kidney, issues za liver. You find that many HIV positive patients suffer from liver problems, kidney problems, because they did not take water the right way. They also get burnt, discoloration of the skin. You find somebody is very black in patches because they didn't take the water the way they were supposed to. So the medicine is using up the water in their body. Yeah.
Okay. So you've now accepted that your status, you've accepted your status for now.
Yeah. Not for now. I'm good.
You're good.
I'm comfortable.
Wow.
My children love me. I know God loves me. I have a church that supports me. So I don't see why I should give up on life.
Okay. What advice would you give to people who stigmatize those who are HIV positive?
Being HIV positive is not the end of the story. It's not a death sentence anymore. In those early days, yes, it was, especially in Africa. But now, being HIV positive is not a death sentence.
Okay.
There is treatment, and as long as somebody adheres to their drugs, they're going to be fine. Also, they should know you cannot get HIV by hugging somebody. You can't get HIV by shaking somebody's hand. No. So, kusalimia watu hivi. Because you know because she's positive or he's positive. People should stop. It's not nice. You make that person feel small. Amekuletea mkono msalimie, wewe uko hapa. It's not nice. It's not nice at all. Even if this person had a heart to do something for you, heart upon. After all, why do you want her to support you or him to support you when you cannot even shake their hand?
Okay.
It's not worth it.
Currently, tumekuwa tukiona the youths. There was a
report.
Yeah, that the youths ndio wako high sana in these status. What advice would you give them as
the advice is not even to the youths, but to the parents.
The parents.
Talk to your children plainly. Tell them things as they are. Stop sugarcoating issues. The children that we have these days are all having sex. From the age of 15 up to the age of 24. That age group, 51% of them are HIV positive. Out of that 51%, half know their status. Out of this half that know their status, half takes care and takes drugs. The other half is not bothered. So you're left with 75% of the 55%, 51% who are HIV positive, who are not bothered, or they don't even know their status. So they just spread it amongst themselves, especially in the universities. Universities, colleges, that's a very dangerous place right now. We need to pray for our children. We need to talk to them. We also need to have people go to universities and talk to students. People who are willing to talk to them and tell them about the dangers of HIV, of promiscuous sex, being promiscuous, sleeping around. Unatoka kwa huyu, unaruka kwa huyu, unaruka kwa ule. You will not even know who gave you the virus. And then you hear that students are committing suicide a lot. Some found out they were positive by mistake. So instead of telling their partner they are positive, anaona hata ajimalize. Then there is this other group that says sikufi peke yangu. So anasambaza. In the process of sambazaring, you're killing yourself. Stop it. It's not good. And it is a danger to yourself personally. Because, for example, HIV has two types, HIV 1 and 2. In HIV 1, you have 10 strands. So this one is the one that is prevalent in Africa, I think. So you have A, B, C, D up to there. So today, you are with me. I have A. Tomorrow, you are with him. He has C. I already have A. You had B. So now you have A, B, C, and you're being treated, you're given medicine for A only. It will not work because of these other strands that have joined it. So you find you're taking drugs, but your CD4 is not building, your viral is not going down, so you're just there. Eventually you get something that will put you down, and then you start saying, I wish I knew. But you brought it on yourself. They should stop sleeping around. If you found out you're positive, please go to a clinic. And if people are seeing me now and watching me, reach out to me. I will take you to hospital. I will cancel you free of charge. Just don't do something stupid. I've lived for 24 years. Something that was not expected, even by the people who tested me in 1980.
There's somebody who told me that a person who has lived for a long time is 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years.
There's an American who's been around for like 40. Right from the beginning in 1980. He's been around.
40 years?
Yes.
Positive?
Yes.
Wow.
He's now an old man, but he's there. Okay. And him, every kind of test, every time they needed to run a test, it was done on him. Any kind, these drugs that you're taking now, they were tested first on him. If that's what I understand. So he's around, and he seems to be doing fine. If you search on Facebook or on Google, the oldest person alive with HIV, you will find him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. So how old is your firstborn?
She's turning 37.
37.
In June.
Wow. And she has babies?
Yes, she has a daughter.
Wow. And they're all negative?
None of my children is positive.
That's good.
When I made a commitment to God, I told him, protect my children. And while I am praying for them, I also talk to them. We have conversations with my son and my daughters. If you come to my house sometimes when you are talking, you would wonder, are they age mates, this or this one's in this house? We sit down and they ask questions and I answer to the best of my ability. Because if I don't answer them, we say, for example, my last one, she will go out there and try and find out for answers for herself. Then she comes back to her mother crying. Who will I blame? It's me. Yeah, I prefer we sit down and we talk. You ask a question, I answer you the right way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Madam Jane, for joining us today. And I hope everybody, the youths and especially the youths, have learned something from your story.
I hope so.
And I will tell you that kinga ni bora kuliko tiba.
Yeah.
So it's better to prevent yourself from getting the HIV rather than getting treated. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. This is the Let's Talk Show with me, Pauline Joroge. Until the next episode, bye-bye.